I'm gonna have to make a blooper reel. All right, let's get it going. Hi BookTube, it's Kim from K. Becker's Books, and it is January 1st officially, but this is my December wrap-up. So I did a mid-month December update on the 17th of December, I think. And at that point, I had read 8 books in the month of December, which was crazy. I finished December reading another 6 books, so for a total of 14, again, which is crazy, but I did read some shorter books and some middle grade books, so it did go pretty quickly. So now all I want to do is do an end of December wrap-up and go over the 6 books that I've read. So here we go. And these are in order of when I finished them. First one I finished was Olive Kitteridge from Elizabeth Strout. And this is the story of Olive, who lives in a small town in Maine. And I don't know, this is probably, I'm not really even sure when the timeline would be as to the setting of the story. But Olive Kitteridge is a curmudgeonly, crusty woman who we kind of see her life from being a young woman and going back in time and looking at some of the events of her younger years up until when she becomes an elderly woman, or maybe not so much elderly, but an older woman. She is super crusty and grumpy and curmudgeonly, and there are times when I quite honestly did not like her that much. But the book is set up in interconnected stories, but she's got some appearance in almost all of them, or at least a reference. And the beauty of Elizabeth Strout's writing is that she connects everything so well. It just seems to flow like you should be hearing about all the different people that live in the same town that Olive does. So I gave it a 4 stars on Goodreads. I didn't love it, but I thought it was very well written. I did enjoy hearing about the town in Maine and learning more about Olive and her personality and the way her emotions work. So I really liked that and enjoyed it. The next book that I read is not typical for me, but I picked up a romance because I wanted to enjoy it and have fun with reading a book somewhat out of my comfort zone. And this is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. This was all over BookTube, and this was reviewed by so many people that it just got so much praise and sense of fun and frolic that I thought, you know, why not? And I was actually glad I did because I really enjoyed this one. I had a lot of fun reading it. This is the story, I'm sure everyone's already heard this, but the story of a biracial son of a female president of the United States. His father was Mexican and his mother is a blonde white politician from Texas. And they are divorced. And he is the grown son who, with his sister, works in his mother's White House, and he ends up forming a relationship, and eventually falling in love with the prince of England, who is kind of the second son, not the one that is directly in line for the throne. But they fall in love and have escapades and a steamy affair. It was a lot of fun to read. Totally unrealistic. This is kind of a utopian cultural and political situation and setting, but it was still fun and it was still funny and, you know, heart-wrenching and something I just kept wanting to turn the pages of. So I really enjoyed reading this one. The next one is totally different genre. It's a thriller, and this is by Alice Feeney, Sometimes I Lie. I saw this first on April's channel, Getting Hygge With It, and she's a big thriller reader, and I am not, but I wanted to pick up something that was plot-heavy and propulsive, that would want to make me read it and not put it down and turn the pages. And this one was really good. It's not very long, it's short, but April said that there was so many plot twists and so many twisty sections of the writing and the story, and man, she was right. I did not expect things coming, There's a portion of the story involves reading diary entries from childhood. When that ties in at the end, it was like a WTF moment. I couldn't believe what I just read. And I had to flip back going, what the heck? Did I read that wrong? What did I miss? And I kept going back to see what did I miss with this story? And then everything tied up and made sense. It was fun. It was awesome. And April was right. This was so twisty and turny and really satisfying payoff at the end, which is exactly what you want in a mystery or thriller. The next one, this is one of my Christmas presents, and I didn't read the whole book, but I read the short story, The Garden Party by Katherine Mansfield, and this was really good. It was, let's see, it was a family preparing a garden party, and there's a lot of commentary on class and economics and family. It forces you to pay attention to who is in charge of doing what and who is in charge of performing which labor when you discuss a lower class group of people who are the workers for a wealthy family. And it was a very good story, lots to think about, lots to talk about. Really enjoyed reading this, and because it's part of a bigger collection of Katherine Mansfield's short stories, I actually cheated and counted it as a book in its own. So, I know, I'm shameless. The next one is poetry, and I once in a while I'll pick up poetry, and I do have a few poets that I really enjoy. This one came from my daughter's middle school. I'm pretty sure it was a discard from my daughter's middle school library, and that surprised me because I'm like, this is a little too mature for middle schoolers, but it's Selected Poems by Gwendolyn Brooks. Excuse me. And Gwendolyn Brooks was born in 1917. Her many books include A Street in Bronzeville, Annie Allen, The Bean Eaters, Maud Martha, and In the Mecca. And she is a Pulitzer Prize winning poet. She wrote, she's deceased at this point, but she wrote about race and class and gender, and it's clear the brilliance of her writing. It was clear the way she sets the tone in her poetry, and the way she sets up the message in the lines that she's writing. Quite honestly, I felt just incredibly stupid trying to figure out what all of these poems meant, and I'm just not smart enough to read this poetry and really absorb much of what exactly she's saying. I did try very hard, and I did go back and look at some commentary and read some more about her in order to do that. Her writing is glorious, but I just, I got as much enjoyment out of several of the poems that it really did hit me emotionally, but I'm just not smart enough for this book. Very incredible writing, masterful writing. And the last book I finished in December, I just finished the other day, maybe yesterday. This is a BookTube highly exposed darling or BookTube exposed book. It's a favorite of many of the YA booktubers, and I read it years ago and thought, you know what? I don't remember much of it, and I see it everywhere. I hear a lot of people talking about it, so I thought I'm going to reread it, and it is Erin Morgenstern's The Night Circus. The Night Circus is about Marco and Celia, who are pitted against each other by their father and their mentor, respectively. They are pitted against each other in a magical competition. And this is something that has been going on in history, where these two primary magicians pick students or young people to partake in a competition that they really know nothing about. The Night Circus is about an actual circus that only appears at night, appears mysteriously. There's no advance notice as to when it's going to set up. The only colors are black and white and shades of gray. There is so much magical realism, magical, fanciful settings and descriptions, characters. This was a fun book to read, but I wasn't crazy about it, and I just don't think it's the type of book that is something that I will always enjoy. It's very whimsical, and I honestly hate circuses. I can't stand circuses in general. I don't think I'm the type of person that gets enjoyment out of it or is impressed by the I don't know, exhibits or the shows or the mysteries, the illusions that take place in a circus. I'm not a big fan of magical acts or illusion or illusionists, but it was a great story. I can see why so many people love it. I think I gave this 3 stars. Now, years ago, I read it for my in real life book group with the Critical Chicks, and I think I gave it 2 stars, but I had no idea what it was. I never remembered the story. And I think it was around the time where I was having my youngest daughter, and I was completely out of it and had really poor memory at that point, was just undersleeping and overeating. And it's like, I don't remember what I read, but I am glad I reread it, and it did enjoy it to some extent. So those are the last 6 books I finished in December. Let's see, January 1st. Keep an eye out for, I plan on doing a top 10 of 2019 and the worst books that I read in 2019. I've got the ideas flowing and the gears are turning, because I'm hoping that's going to be a fun one to film and a fun one for you to watch. So thanks so much for coming here today and listening to me. Subscribe. Hit the subscribe button and comment below to tell me if you've read these books and what you thought of them, and what you read in December. Like I said, stay tuned for my 10 best of 2019 and my worst of 2019. Dun, dun, dun. Talk to you soon. Have a good night. Bye.